Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Facebook AMS Live video. Today is November 21st, and I am going to kick off the call with our issue paid numbers. So for week 46 of IUL's issue paid, we have Gregory M with 235, Eric H with 354, Lisa M with 568, James S with 1,678, Daryl B with 2,027, Shoaib M with 2,516, Christopher F with 3,210, Danielle B with 8,416, and William P with $12,015, bringing our weekly total to $31,019. For annuities, these are issue paid between the dates of November 7th and November 14th. We have Veronica R with 12,924, Shauna H with 15,000, Ulysses C with 24,966, Matthew H with 25,000, Christopher F with 28,979, Danielle B with 35,168, Dan W with 37,297, Jonathan W with 40,267, Derek C with 44,890, Robert B with 50,000, Dan W again with 54,843, Rochelle N and Paul M with a split on 68,609, Jeffrey E with 75,682, Matthew S with 97,958, Spencer F with 99,293, Michael K with 100,000, Justin C with 159,342, Edward P with 200,000, Chantel W with 204,830, Richard B with 262,818, and Blaine B wrapping up our board here with $400,000 issue paid annuity, bringing our weekly total to just above $2 million for the week. And thanks, guys, for a great week and month so far. Next up, we're going to be hearing from some of the top managers on how to get in the game for this last and final quarter, as well as hearing from Dan and Tiffany Grunberg on how they run their annuity business. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.
Morning, everyone. Sean Ruggiero. Thanks for joining us for the Family First AMS Live. Joined here today by some of the senior board members and vice presidents around the country. And we're talking annuities. So a quick statistic, if we look at all the life insurance agents of Family First Life who have issued a life policy, less than 10% have issued an annuity policy. But everyone here has issued an annuity policy. So we want to start by talking about your personal production, history of personal production, what helped you in the field. So Brent, tell us a little bit about annuity production for you.
Biggest thing for me was the fear of the unknown, getting over that. I was intimidated by annuities. I thought I needed to know everything about them. And then once I kind of dug into it and just realized and started getting on the phone with some people at Athene, talking to you, Sean, talking to Matt, just people who had done it before, I realized it was very simple. It's basically just, it also boiled down to learning who the clientele was, who my market was. It wasn't the person that was, the gambler, so to speak, that liked to play the stocks and the markets and all that sort of stuff. When I first started trying to sell annuities, I was trying to sell them to everybody, and wondering why it wasn't working. Well, it's because I didn't really realize the people who are concerned with safety of their money and wanting to make sure that they have it there throughout their retirement years, that's our marketplace. So that, getting over that fear and then just talking to everybody, realizing everybody has money, that was a big deal. I thought it was only in certain areas of the country or whatever, but people in my area had money as well. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. For me, this is going to be funny. So I always thought none of my clients had money. I'm like, I remember me and Matt laughing. Matt's like, everybody has money, Mike. I go, no, they don't. So my thing was to prove Matt wrong. So I'm gonna ask the question, how's your safe money? And I ask, and she's like, the first time I come here like this, like, oh yeah, I have an old 401k, 48 grand. I'm like, now, the worst part was, it wasn't good I was getting to sell the annuity. The worst part was I had to call him and go, he was right. And so that was just because of our relationship, and I loved it. But thanks to you, Sean and Matt, for opening my eyes. Everybody does have money. And for me, that's all it was asking that question, hey, how's your safe money? Because you know what the answer is, what do you mean? They say it every time, right? That's their answer back is, what do you mean safe money? So now I can go your retirement, 401k, and middle America usually changes jobs. So there's a lot of old 401ks sitting there that we're missing because we don't ask that question. Hey, how's your safe money? They don't know what that means. They've changed jobs. They have 50,000 sitting here. Old 401k, no one's managing it for them. And that helped me tremendously. Just to start asking the question every time in every home, no matter, don't judge a book by its cover. Our clients are middle America, but they also don't have an advisor. They don't have anybody helping them with that 100,000 401k, or the biggest one I ever sold was almost 500,000. I remember like it was just because I almost got eaten by a dog. The front porch had wood. I'm heavy. I might fall through this porch going into the appointment. $48 a month. Final expense, $498,000 annuity. And he's been a client for life. We've already helped him with some other stuff. But I think that was the biggest thing for me, Sean, was asking the question, not judging a book by its cover, and know they all have money. So that was the biggest thing.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. With annuities with me, it was really at the beginning. I talked to Mike a lot, trying to figure out how to do it because he sold one more than me, which was one more, period. So, I mean, I was trying to figure out how to sell, how to talk. The golden question really helped me out a lot inside the home, figuring out, is there something that acts like a savings account or acts like retirement, 401ks, IRAs, annuities. That really kind of opened up the market to help me. But one of my biggest fears was rejection. I had a hard time with people telling me no, or telling me that they didn't want the information, or didn't want to go through annuities, or had negative things to say about annuities. But what I understood is if I kept saying it, and I kept practicing it, and I did it in every appointment, it made it easier and easier for me to talk about it. Then people started opening up. Then they started really telling me about their 401ks, or just a retirement, or just savings account. I mean, I've been in a couple homes where they said, oh yeah, I've got $1 million sitting here. I've been in a lot of times where they say, I've got 20,000, 50,000. But really the biggest fear was figuring out how to talk to people. Less was more. That's what Mike kept telling me too inside the home. I wanted to, similar to Brent, I wanted to know everything about annuities, and wanted to, when they talked to them, pretty much just to vomit on them and pretty much tell them everything about annuity and how awesome it was, how great it is. Sometimes you got to sit back. You've got to listen to what their needs are, what they're wanting to do with their money. And when you start listening and start building a plan that they want and that they can see, and then you talk about just some of how they can't lose their money in an annuity, and you start building that, it really starts to hit home, and that's where that value exceeds the price, and that value starts to sink in. And once you start building a plan and a retirement plan, because like you said, they're not sitting down, this is middle America, guys, they're not sitting down with people that are helping them or wanting to help them plan. If you sit down there and you can help them plan and see the future, and they can see what that money will do, it makes it a lot easier. And less is more. When you're looking at the illustration, it definitely shows them how the annuity works. I use the illustrations and I show them all the pages, but just 2 or 3, and highlight it. And then I sit back and then I let them talk to me about what they can see that money do for them. And when I started doing that, I started closing more. And this is the thing is, what you got to understand too, is you're not going to close them all. I do a lot of second appointments when I do find the money, and then when I come back, you got to understand this is not like life insurance. These people do get nervous that, you know, it's too good to be true because they can't lose their money, because they have been losing their money. So I mean, when you're talking to them, you got to keep that in mind, that you're not going to close them all, but 1 out of 5, you know, 2 out of 4 is still pretty good when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're able to move over, that you can make anywhere from a 6 to 7%, you know, rate on. So I mean, with that, I mean, I appreciate everybody here helping me to become a better annuity salesperson.
Thanks, Sean. A couple different scenarios that have helped me produce good numbers for annuities is obviously using the financial inventory, making sure you have a sales structure. I think some of the things that Sean has recently introduced, the AMS call, as far as the annuity presentation, IUL presentations, are something that you really need to watch time and time again to get your comfort up. Because the biggest thing that I see with new agents is they just aren't willing to have a conversation. And you go there to complete the sale of whatever need they had, and your job is to uncover new problems they may have in regards to their retirement. The one thing that I know for a fact is the vast majority of our clientele do not have a retirement plan. So that is where we can help identify their needs and really develop a strategy that's going to work for them. A couple basic things that you can really focus on is what type of money do they have, when do they need the money, and what are they going to use the money for. So, you know, whether it's going to be a legacy or income or strategic systematic withdrawals, how are you going to set up a plan that really meets their needs, like Ryan was talking about earlier, that are going to help drive up your sales, help them out as well, and I think you'll find some success with that as well.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that. Something, kind of a journey that we've taken together, learn how to sell these things and learning what works, what doesn't. A couple points I want to touch on. Ryan, you said that you don't close every one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's important because I think where agents can get distracted and frustrated is they've got someone who listens to them. Now, listening to them might be politeness and they're not really interested, and listening to them might be they're actually interested. You go through the steps. If the person starts to say, you know, it's not for me, whatever it is, it's not the same as a final expense sale. You know what I mean? We're not trying to drive it home. That can be exhausting, right? Yeah. Move on to the next one. It's a volume thing. If we get overly invested in it emotionally, it can really make us not want to do it, right? Absolutely. Okay, a lot of these $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 policies are the ones that add up and pay off, and those are the people that really need some help. The other thing is, Matt, we've kind of evolved the idea. Mike, you talked about safe money. You know, Brent, I know the ones that we've talked about over the years, it's the people that don't want to lose their money. There's always been that intimidation that we don't know enough about products. We don't know how we're going to compete. I was talking to an agent, I think he's somewhere near downline, a guy named Greg, about the illustration rate. He says, I like this one because it shows 7%. I said, I'm going to tell you what, if you're selling off the 7%, you're selling the wrong thing. I personally will put it to an index where it shows 4.5. No joke. Because I don't want to sell these based on they're going to outperform the market. Because you're only setting yourself up to fail. Absolutely. The very next year when it's all ripe and they're thinking about it, it gets 2.8%. Right. They're upset, yeah, right? We've been using this idea that we sell people, protect people's human capital with life insurance, and we protect their financial capital with annuities. But here's the cool thing. Right, Matt, unlike a CD that's going to give you 1.8% and is totally safe, if the market goes up, you get 1.8%. I can show some statements where people are getting 16%, 22%. That's all upside. Yep. So it's tantalizing, but I'm not selling it based on these high accumulations. I'm not selling it based on this whopping bonus. I'm selling it based on safety. And if you have the right person who that resonates, which is a lot of the consumers that we're talking to, then you're selling it for the right reasons, and you're going to be much higher likelihood of selling the policy and keeping the policy, and it's going to be less stressful. You know, you don't need to be worrying about selling every one. We can pick up 2-3 a month at $50K. It's $150. You're on track for $1 million a year. There's an extra $100,000 of income. So, next thing I want to talk about is now that you all have grown your agencies. Some of you still participate in the field. Some of you don't. Mike, you have the largest agency. Brent, you huge, massive agency yourself. Ryan, you've grown as fast, if not faster than everyone else I've seen. Matt, you've grown double digits since last year. We still have the problem. We have less than 10% of our agents. So we're missing something, okay? And now we have, maybe not a lot of people wear this, but you can move up to, I think, black level, 7.5% just as personal producer. Mm-hmm. But you can move up to 8.5%. There's IMOs that don't have 8.5% on the agency side and climb up that ladder that way. So there's incentive for everyone to grow. What are y'all's thoughts? I'm going to go down the line again about how we get our agencies to grow. What can we do? What are some ideas for other VPs, other managers, and other board members to get us to grow in the fourth quarter and then in 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I think the number one thing that we need to do a better job of is accessing and utilizing all the tools that you know, yourself have led the way on producing and getting out there in front of agents. You know, through the AMS live call, through all the recorded videos on the websites and recorded calls, all that sort of stuff. It's all there. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of us talking to our agents more about using those things and whether it's in their windshield time while they're on the road, whether it's, you know, early in the morning, late at night, where they're not on the phone in front of clients, whatever. It's all there if they put the time and effort into it. And I think the biggest thing, like I think about it, like if I was going to be in a gym working out, right? If I own exactly, that was my thought too. It's like if I do it once a year, it's not going to have an impact. Right? If I do it every single day, all year long, over some span of time, I'm going to get in a lot better shape. Might lose weight, whatever. And I think we have a lot of agents, and I when I was selling in the field, I was the world's worst. I would maybe talk to a client every once a month. I might be talking to a client about annuities or IULs, right? Instead of every single home. And we just have to do a better job of driving that point home of we got to get in the weight room every single day. We got to do the activity every single day, and the results will ultimately come.
Yeah, good analogy.
Thanks, Sean. I think, and Brent just hit on it, I think that there's a few things I think we can do to help it grow. Number one is the education. I mean, an educated agent will ask the question more. They're not as nervous. Because I remember for myself, the reason I didn't do it is because I didn't educate myself on it. So, and if I don't know something, if you don't know about something, you kind of hold yourself back. So I think that's the biggest thing for a new agent to help. But I also think we do have all those tools, the show, the videos, the online training. But I think the biggest thing I can stress, what I'm going to stress to them this upcoming year is don't be scared to ask the question, because you also have us as tools. So even if you're on your first appointment and you ask the question about their retirement, ask the question. Just please ask the question. You don't have to know everything about annuities. Just like when we get them to go out and sell insurance, we're very good at that because we talk to them about just go to the house, ask them these questions, get a check, voided check, and their social. It's the same thing with annuities. Just ask the safe money question, ask about retirement, ask the question, then go, I'm going to get with my specialist and come back. Because with Sean and everybody else that is here to help, we have the help to help them sell the annuities. They don't have to know A to Z about an annuity or about what it does or how it works to sell one. Because I know my first one, I didn't. I got the thing, had to call Matt first, like I said earlier, to tell him he was right. And then I called Sean to, hey, what do I need to do? Sean, Bridget sent me an illustration, and they walked me through it. It's that simple. So I think for new agents, they understand it's not as complicated as it seems, and they need to educate themselves on it. But they also need to ask the question, because when they ask the question, we are here to support them, to help them make those sales. And once they make the first one, they'll understand it's not that difficult.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate the hike in commissions. I mean, I think that's a huge point, too, that we don't talk about a lot with the annuities. I think that does help a lot of new agents by getting some of that, I call them bonus money and stuff, because our bread and butter is the final expense and mortgage protection, but the annuities and IULs kind of help as a bonus, and that helped my business in the first couple of years to where I could put money back into it. So I think helping and going forward in 2020 is talking about it more, speaking it into existence. Mike, you've always talked about, if you talk about things, you can speak it into existence. So I think we have to be more intentional about talking about annuities and talking about IULs, training on them, helping agents, become, it's not hard to sell $1 million worth of annuities if you're selling that fund $50,000 to $100,000. I mean, that's only really about 10 to 15 annuities a year, one a month. So start talking about the intentionality, why me, why not you? Why can't you sell annuities? Why can't we talk about annuities? Why don't we start putting it into some of our training and helping people understand and start speaking it into existence, talking about it, talking a lot more about it. And then with intentionality comes accountability. I think the accountability helps you too. Let's start setting goals for each other. 1 a month, 2 a month. Who's the next person to get to the million? Who's going to be the person to get the 500,000? How do we climb that? We did that in final expense, and we did that with mortgage protection. How do you go from A to B? How do you get from, selling 10,000 to 15,000, then all of a sudden it's 20,000 or 30,000? How are we going to get that with annuities? What is your goal? What is your 2020 goal? Start talking to your agents as managers, and managers should be having more intentionality and accountability. But the same thing is we need to talk to our agents and help them develop some kind of goal for annuities and IULs. I think if we talk about it and do it a lot more, you'll see a lot more of the numbers rise. So, I mean, that's how I think 2020 should go.
Thanks, Sean. So it really starts with understanding there's 5 levels of growth. And it really starts with, number 1 is your learning. And that is really what we talked about at the tools, resources at hand. You really need to understand the AMS Live. You have an AMS website that you can log in and watch other videos and get other strategies that have been developed over, years of training. So it really starts with learning. And understand this, you're fearful because your knowledge is low. As you start to learn, when your knowledge gets higher, it overcomes fear, and then you put action behind it, which is crucial. Then from learning, you get to experimenting. And experimenting is when you start to try, you start to ask questions, you're starting to fail, you're starting to understand what works and what doesn't work for you, because everyone's going to be a little bit different in regards to how they attack retirement accounts or whatnot in the house. And once you get to the learning experimenting, you finally get to where you're actually performing, and you write your first $40,000 annuity, and then you understand that you write $250,000, and then $500,000, and then maybe do a 7-figure one. And then you realize, oh wow, I'm starting to figure this out. I'm starting to perform. This is much easier than I thought. But then right after that, I promise you, the struggle will come. So once you start to perform, you'll start to then get the resistance the broker calls and screws up your deal. The client gets fearful because of some sort of negative press, or maybe they just weren't as confident in what you were presenting to them. So you start to struggle a little bit. That's going to happen in this industry. But then the fifth level of growth is you starting to thrive, which is really like only 1% of the time. Thriving can be, at our national convention when you're getting an award for being one of the top annuity producers. But just understand that's 1% of the time. The difference for people that perform at the highest levels is you think when you see them at conference and they're being celebrated or they're celebrating, that's what their whole life is about. The truth of the matter is when you're not working, they're really just outworking the competition, they're outworking you, they're performing at a much higher level. So just understand that most people want to skip the learning and experimenting, and they want to go straight to performing. That's not how it works. You've got to learn and experiment to perform. You're going to struggle, but then you'll start to thrive, and your commission level will drive up. Your bank account will drive up. Your clients will be more happy. You'll have a better understanding of the process, and you'll really start to generate quality business for your portfolio, for you, for your clients. It's an incredible journey. And then the last thing I would tell you is keep things simple. You want to drive up your IUL and annuity sales? Focus on people that are contributing their 401k and they're contributing more than their match. Focus on people that are, paying so much more additional to their mortgage, just as a start. Those two areas for IULs. Those two areas will get you could write 5 IULs a month just based off of that. Then you come to the annuity section. Keep it simple. Once again, ask the questions. Talk to them about their money. What are they using it for? When do they need it? And you'll find that you start to develop strategies that are really valuable for you, for your clients, and you'll really see your success level drive up. So 2020 is going to be a great year for all of you.
Thanks, Matt. I think that's a really good wrap up to the list of questions here. Great responses, great participation. Thank you very much to everyone here. I think one takeaway from that is using Matt's idea of wanting to learn is just thinking about it and then hanging up this call or clicking off. That's not good enough. So if you want to get better at writing annuities, if you want to write your first annuity, then commit to this. This AMS Live training is every Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you are running business, if you have commitment, then just put it in your calendar when you're going to watch it. Second thing is go to fflams.com, create your login account, and determine that you're going to watch one extra training to catch up every week. I mean, that's not a lot. One extra week. And then get the financial inventory and ask the golden question, right, Ryan, every single time. What do you have that acts like insurance, such as an annuity, a 401k, an IRA, anything that if you are going to pass, it's going to go to your spouse or your loved ones free of probate. And you just start asking that question. And that's that experimenting, right? And then use the AMS team to help you out with your scenarios. And managers, for you and for the other managers out there, what I would suggest is we talk about apps, we talk about issue paid. Ask them how many Ask a Specialist they submitted that week, right? And I think that's a good target goal because then you start to see the activity. Because if they say no, none, well, then they're not asking the question, and we can correct that. You know, I think that's a good goal for all of us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Let's make it a great week. Take care.
Hi there, I'm Tiffany Grunberg.
And I'm Dan Grunberg.
And we just are on the AMS today. Wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how to find annuity opportunities in almost every home. So thank you so much to Sean and the AMS team for asking us to be on today. We're just going to kind of spend about 5 minutes going over how to really use your financial inventory and create those annuity opportunities. Dan, when you are in a home and when you're going through the financial inventory, how do you seek out that annuity opportunity?
Well, the first thing I do is I let them know in the beginning that I do specialize in retirement income planning. So when I get to that point of the financial inventory, there's no shock or surprise.
Good.
Then I basically ask them, you know, what do you have that acts like life insurance when you pass away? A lot of clients will look at me kind of confused. And I just explain to them stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs, anything that's going to pass on a benefit or lump sum of money to a family member when you do pass.
Good. And when you do ask those questions and you get the pushback that says, you know, why do you need to know that? How do you handle that when you're talking about that?
I typically tell them, hey, I got to paint the whole picture. I need to know what we're dealing with exactly. I need to know if you, in addition to a life insurance benefit put in place, is there something else that we can help you with? One of the main things that I talk about when it comes to retirement income planning is protecting their capital.
Good. Okay. And one of the things that I found when I'm asking about annuity opportunities, or you find that a client has a brokerage account, for example, one of the things that I found to be really helpful is instead of being very over anxious about the account, using terms like, and ballpark, what do you keep in there? So something that's a little offsetting, so they don't feel like you're asking them to go grab their statement immediately, will give you the opportunity to do what you're there to do. And that's one thing that I know you're really good at, because we always tell everyone that you want to make sure you have 2 pieces of business, because that really solidifies a client for life. And I think Dan's really good at that. So how do you proceed from once you do find that there might be an annuity opportunity?
I do one or two options. I typically ask them, what if there's an opportunity for you to protect that capital where you can still gain but never lose. I use that approach. I also do the 3-arrow approach. I think there's training that Frankie has done on the 3-arrow approach. That's the basic. If I feel like it's someone I need to, they're put off by me asking them, I won't get into the nuts and bolts so much. I'll more do just 3 arrows. And the 3 arrows are your money can go up, sideways, or go down. Which arrow would you like to eliminate? I answer it for them. I'll help you with the tough ones. I scratch out the down arrow. And then that piques their interest. I said, that's great. Let's get back to why we're here. Let's finish the life insurance, and I'll come back out and see you tomorrow. Throw a time at them. Tomorrow at 1, would that work for you?
Yeah, and I think that's what's really important, because when you go out to see a client, our leads typically come from a life insurance request, whether it's final expense, mortgage protection, traditional life, whatever it is. And when you get real antsy about money, and you don't do what you came there for, which is to protect them with life insurance, then I think you're not doing justice for the client. And that can be off-putting. I think when you're trying to create annuity opportunities, you want to make sure that you place the life business as well as the annuity business. And Dan, what would you say you find to be the most common factor in annuity clients?
Meaning?
Well, is everybody live in, a Tudor mansion?
All right.
Or?
So yes, you can't judge a book by its cover. I've written annuities with my briefcase on a garbage recycle bin outside in a carport before. There's money there. Most folks have some sort of money put away somewhere where it's not safe or somewhere where it's not working the best for them. And one thing I think that we're both good at is it doesn't matter if it's a $10,000 annuity or if it's a $400,000 annuity. It's just a number. Our job is very mechanical when it comes to that. Just go through the process. It doesn't matter how much it is you're working with. It's the same product for $10,000 as it is for $500,000.
Yeah, and making sure that you're just doing the right thing by the client. When you find annuity opportunities, one of the things that, again, you have to ask that question in every house: what do you have that acts like life insurance? And then explain that in a way that they understand. What is something that, you know, will pass directly to your family on your passing, instead of that will go through probate or befall your estate and your family has to wait to get it, things like that. And when you're doing that and you're asking good questions, then it just creates a dialogue. And when you're just starting to do annuities, that's really all you're wanting to do. I think that was one thing Dan was really good at in the beginning, was he just started asking good questions. And when you're looking and sitting with families that you do find have money, just ask good questions. How much of that are you prepared to lose? Have you thought about that? Have you guys discussed what happens if you lose 40% of this and how that will impact your future?
One thing I'll add too, when you're dealing with annuities, retirement income planning, I don't like to pitch the fear tactic, because I find clients get very offended and kind of just back off if I try to sell it as you know, trying to a loss of money type thing, and try to push a fear tactic on them rather than just informational. Hey, let's come back out in 2 days and just give you the information.
So how, with that being said, and not using that fear platform, because I know that that's definitely a selling technique that's out there. How do you build value in the annuity thought or the annuity product without using the fear?
If you do a good enough job explaining how the process works and how the products work, the fear factor is going to come out when you go out to the follow-up appointment. What I've done recently is I ask them, you know, what are you uncomfortable with? What are you afraid of where your money is right now? And I write those down on a piece of paper, and then I give them the reasons why they can have peace of mind. This will take care of this fear, this will take care of this doubt. It's a no-brainer from that point.
Okay, so instead of building on and creating this doomsday scenario, you ask them what they're concerned about and then show them solutions.
Yep.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So I guess, guys, that would be our recommendations for finding and how to continue and consistently find annuity money. Number one, just make sure you're asking. Use that golden rule question. I think it's definitely changed our business as far as being able to help folks with annuity funds, and making sure that you are consistent. Continue to ask.
One other thing I'll add too, if you meet with clients and the annuity presentation, the annuity follow-up appointment doesn't go well, one thing that John Gavin passed on to me, he says, go back every 6 months into your Athene illustrations, and the folks you haven't helped, go back and see them, call them. My biggest annuity this year was a follow-up on a gentleman that I met with 6 months prior. Gave him a call, said, hey, you know, what's going on? You so comfortable with where your money is? And it was perfect timing. He had just spoke with a friend who got a product that's similar to the Athene products, and he says, I'm interested about those. Went back, saw him 2 days later, and wrote him an Athene Ascent. Yeah,
that's absolutely huge. That's absolutely huge. Make sure that you are being a well-rounded agent, and follow up with the people that you couldn't help at that point. Same thing with your life business, but especially on annuity business. When the market is as volatile as we've been seeing it, you want to get back in front of those people that maybe weren't ready at the time that you met with them first. But just a 3 to 6 month follow-up call just to check in is super powerful. All right, guys, thank you so much for all your time today, and good luck out there.
Yep, thanks for having us on the call. Everyone get out there, ask the good questions, and get after it. Good luck, everyone.
Hey, Tom Hegna here. I'm in Cabo, and everybody thinks retirement's just like this. It's sand and waves, and I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of information at the Family First Life Annual Convention at Planet Hollywood, February 6th through the 9th, Planet Hollywood. I want to thank Sean Mike and Sean Ruggiero, because they had me speak last year, and it went very well, and they've asked me to come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you words and language that can help you in presenting these products to your clients. Look, I own 11 annuities. People say, why would you own 11 annuities? I'll tell you why I own 11 annuities. Some of you know this, but I retired for the summer. I wanted to see what it was like, so I just retired for the summer. I joined a country club, I played golf, I played tennis, I played pickleball. I wanted to see would I get bored, would we drive each other crazy. I learned a lot of lessons that I'm going to be sharing with you at this meeting. But the reason I have 11 annuities is this. I have enough money to retire right now. So if I have enough money to retire right now, let me ask you a question. What is the stupidest thing I could do? Lose my money. That's the stupidest thing I could do. Can you imagine? I spend 30 or 40 years, I save, I invest, I do everything right, and then 6 months before I retire, the market takes a dump and stays down for 15 or 20 years. That'd be the stupidest thing I could do. See, what I want to do with my money is I want to make as much as I can make, but just as important, or maybe more important, I don't want to lose what I've already got. Do you understand? Vanguard can't do that for me. Fidelity can't do that for me. Mr. Ken Fisher cannot do that for me, but that's what you can do. That's what annuities can do for people. They can help people make as much as they can make without losing what they've already got. You know, we're going to talk about the 3 phases of retirement. Everybody thinks retirement is going to be 30 or 40 years of golf, tennis, cruises, and Cabo. That is not true. You're going to go through 3 distinct phases. The first phase is what I call the go-go years, and I'm going to talk about which products that you sell are good for the go-go years. But that's going to be followed by the slow-go years, which requires a whole different set of products. And then that transitions into the no-go years, and there you need a different product yet. And I'm going to go through each of those phases, all the products and why you need them. So, look, I hope you join us. Planet Hollywood, February 6th through the 9th. Family First Life Annual Convention. You can register at ffltakeover.com. This is free, okay? It's free for all advisors to attend. They're going to have some of the top speakers from around the world at this convention. Again, it is free. You go to ffltakeover.com to register. I hope to see you there.